Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to cover a fan faction for Root. If you don't know what Root is a asymmetrical board war game for 2 to 6 players, if you include expansions. And I'm going to be talking about one of the fan factions for it today. Um, uh, if you don't know what Root is, I suggest you go and find some videos talking about it because, well, um, there are plenty of videos out there talking about what Root is, but today I'm here to cover the fan factions, mainly the Eastern Bloc today. So I will be leaving a link to the creator of the Eastern Bloc's page on Board Game Geek, so there you could find it, and that's where you could find like who created it, the place to download the faction board and stuff like that. If you're wondering where I got these meeples, well, player pieces, they were from a 3D printing site located in Montreal, and I can't remember their name off the top of my head, but I will probably put it in like the comment section or something. All right, so I'm gonna cover the Eastern Bloc today. They're meant to be a parody of communist Russia. So I'll go over first the back of their board. So for warriors, they need 15, though I think they were updated to 20. They don't have any buildings. They have 10 den tokens and 9 aggro die. Now, I don't have 9 dice, but I do have an alternative that I will get into later. Their complexity is high, card wealth moderate, aggression moderate, crafting ability moderate. Their setup is place 3 warriors and 1 den token in a corner opposite the marquise if no Eerie, in a corner between the 2 if no lizard cult, or in the final corner not occupied by any of the aforementioned factions. Tokens do not fill slots in clearings. Place 2 warriors as scouts in 2 different forests adjacent to your den. I will get the scouts later. For your board for your den track and scouts track, distribute aggro die to each respective faction to roll. Please place each result on the corresponding geopolitical track space. So now let's get to the actual player board. Arms race. Each faction is in charge of their geopolitical relationship with you by rolling their own individual aggro die. So basically, they roll their own dice, if, well, you have them. Usually assert destruction. Destroying a den will incur an immediate response. 1 warrior from each adjacent clearing will move into the conflict. And of course, there's Vagabond. When aggressive Vagabond, cards cost double. And we'll get to the different geopolitical relationships later. So they're Birdsong, Scorched Earth. Any clearing where you have warriors, where your warriors have a majority and there are no other warriors present, remove all other faction tokens and buildings, with the exception of ruins. Place a free den. So in a way, this is kind of like the Alliance's Revolt or the Crow's Bomb token, but it only works if the enemy doesn't have any warriors in a clearing. Cold War. Reroll any cooperative or unconcerned aggro die. We will get to that later. Craft using dens. Well, no, now there's daylight. Craft using dens. Move scouts out of forest into adjacent clearings or across paths into new forest areas. You may take any of the following actions once in order. Battle in a clearing with an aggressive faction. Build a den up to as many empty scout track spaces. Recruit 2 warriors to 1 den, or recruit 3 warriors to 3 separate dens, and refill scouting track on the warriors board. Then just reroll the aggro die for any faction you battle during daylight. Dispatch from 1 to 3 scouts in the forest adjacent to any den. Only 1 scout per forest area, and then draw 1 card plus 1 per thing shown. Now let's get to the geopolitical track. So throughout the game, people are going to be rolling dice to decide their relationship with you, and each of them has their own upsides and downsides. There's aggressive, meaning that you can battle them, and Vagabond cards cost double. But in order to build dens, it needs to be in a place where you're the majority. However, if they're on unconcerned, you can then build. You can't battle them, but you can build them in a tie. Then cooperative, you can build dens in a minority clearing, meaning one you don't rule. And you're even exempt from the Woodland Alliance's revolts, which is neat. And now I'm going to get to how these guys move around. So they don't move through pathways or adjacent clearings, they move through the forest by dispatching their scouts. Now when their scouts are on the board, you take them off the board and put them in the scouts track. Then you take them from the scouts track and put them into a forest. There, they can move to other forests or to adjacent clearings. It would be better if I had the board here, but this table isn't big enough, so this is the best I got for now. Yeah, so these guys, they are very sneaky. They're gonna be sneaking throughout the forest and very like the vagabond kinda. Yeah. In a way, they are kind of like the vagabond. Then we get to their dens. Their dens are their main way of gaining victory points. Now, of course, they work like, most other buildings or tokens in Root. Place them down, you gain VP, and you can use them to craft. However, there is one special thing about the Eastern Bloc that makes them unique from other factions, is that they have their own unique dominance card. Also, I'm sorry this is crumbled up. It was an accident. So basically, if you have at least 10 points, you can play this in daylight and remove your score marker. If you have a den in each clearing, you win the game. Now, this is kind of a hard thing to pull off, but it's still a neat touch that, like a faction gets like a unique win condition only they can pull off. I always appreciate that. And yeah, so I'm going to go over what I liked and what I disliked. First, what I liked. I like how you're not doing a lot of battling with this faction, yet it still feels like you're getting things done. Like I said, each geopolitical status has their benefits. So, yeah, there will be times where you may not be able to battle, but the bright side is that you'll be able to build in a clearing that you don't rule, which is the upside, and I really like that. Another thing is that it says they're complex, but personally, I didn't find them too hard. And then we get to the downsides. One, the dominance card. While I do like the idea, it's kind of pointless because it's almost impossible to realistically get a scenario where the dominance card could actually work. Even more unlikely than the actual dominance cards in the Root deck. And then we also have crap, I forgot what I was gonna say. Yeah, never mind. That's definitely one downside I have, and well, my second downside is that it can sometimes be a bit random, because since the statuses are decided by a dice roll, sometimes you won't be getting the geopolitical status that you want, and sometimes it could end up kind of slipping you up a bit. And yeah, I could see that being an issue for some people. So, my final thoughts on this faction. I like it. It's definitely not perfect. I'd say it's kind of balanced. I've played it in a couple 2-player games. I'd say they're a bit overpowered in 2-player games, but in 4-player games they're a bit underpowered. At least that's what I've experienced. Now, this could just be because I played them wrong, but oh well. So I definitely recommend checking this fan faction out. I like the theme. Bears are cool. It's got some interesting ideas going on here, and while some of the ideas might not be executed perfectly, they're definitely interesting. So that's all I got to say for now, and hopefully I make more of these about more fan factions. I do have a few more, and I would definitely like to make videos of them sometime in the future. See you later.